everyone, Long here. So I actually wanted to get a chance to talk about this because it's still fresh in my head. But my God, did I freaking love Monster Hunter Wilds? The beta was actually absolutely amazing. I know it did release on the same day as as Dragon Age Veilguard. It is what it is. But ultimately, I had an amazing time with this game. I know Capcom has had some problems before with how it was handling its own remasters and likely to for whatever reasons, nothing to do with any of my enjoyment or my motivations for getting those games, but I think Monster Hunter Wilds is off to a great start. 3 months out before its release, the game isn't exactly rock solid, but it's pretty solid. The gameplay loop is there, the story is there. The characters are absolutely amazing. I especially love uh, Gemma, the blacksmith, and then the new handler, Alma. I freaking love those two in particular. But the other characters are pretty cool too. I mean, your hunter actually speaks. I think that's freaking awesome. I think that there's a lot of energy that's going into Monster Hunter, and particularly with the story. And then which I cannot wait to get into right now. So, but anyway, I want to talk about what went well with my time in the demo. So basically, I played through the game through the demo section using both the Japanese and the English uh, voices. So then, how did I play through it in two ways? So unfortunately, I had to go delete my save file, my initial save playthrough after playing through the demo section in Japanese, and then when I deleted, I went ahead and played through it in English. So I and quite frank, so a lot of the mechanics are quite familiar, although it's been a while since but I had played it on the PlayStation 4, which I originally played Monster Hunter World on, and then also Monster Hunter Rise on the Switch, which both of which I very much enjoyed. But Monster Hunter Wilds, refamiliarizes me with some of them with those same mechanics, but now we have a new mount, an awesome animal companion, known as a sacred, a saint. I think it's like a sacred, basically a sacred, it's cross between sacred and then secret, which I think is pretty. Honestly, I find that the word plays are very, very amazing, very creative, and I think there's a lot of thought was put into it, and then the heart was found. And basically, that is the mount that I got to ride on, in over at PAX West this year. This year. So I very much enjoyed getting on my own sacred, and I had such an amazing time. The mechanics are absolutely sound. Your Palico is there to help you out in fights. Um, so to be fair, it's pretty much solid all the way around. So I very much loved how they handle it. So rather than you being part of a squad of monster hunters, you're basically our team leader. And that is I think it's a real step up from Monster Hunter World, but it is still and it's still just as amazing. So you go on hunts, you take a while to hunt down huge monsters, while you also take on some of the smaller monsters, and you have to go and harvest parts from them so that you can build better weapons, which undoubtedly Gemma will get around to. By the way, I freaking love Gemma. Oh, she's so amazing. I freaking love her. I love her so much. That's my bae right there. So my waifu basically. I'm calling it like Gemma is my waifu. Seriously, I mean she's very sweet. She's beautiful, and she's a very good like ideal like female character. She's not like someone who's in the background and like you know writing books and stuff. Although I will say there's a lot of value in there. I think it's actually kind of smart that she gets to play the role of a blacksmith. So she basically gets her hands dirty, and and then when the game comes out in full release, she'll eventually be the one who builds your weapons with your like monster parts, like previous blacksmiths have done in past games. So this is really cool. So this is actually kind of refreshing. She reminds me so much of Cindy from Final Fantasy 15. I digress. Basically, I freaking love Gemma. She is so beautiful, and my hope is I don't do anything bad around her because like cause she's got that massive hammer in her like in a belt, and I don't want her clonking me on the head with that. So, but otherwise, she's an absolute sweetheart, freaking love her, and so and it already off to a good start with the female characters, and then there's also Alma. She is cute. She's basically like your nerdy like handler gal. So she plays the same role as like as the past handler from Monster Hunter World. Uh, she handle like her title is essentially like the responsibilities that she takes in ensuring that like you are well equipped and that with what you need to before you go out hunting. And I think that's and so it's really cool to like see a lot of like personality injected into the handler character rather than just giving her the like the title handler. The handler now has a name. It's Alma, and I like that a lot. So what's even cooler is that your character, the hunter, actually has a can actually is voiced. It's fully voiced by many different like voice actors, like play like for different languages. So I in my first playthrough, I played the Japanese voice actor, and he sounded amazing. But like, there's also the voice, but there's also like other voices for the females as well. And then the next playthrough, I played an English voice actor, um, and and the voice actor sounded amazing too. So, which by the way, the pitch is actually quite like impressive. So the variation of the pitches of like the voice actors for your main protagonist is actually pretty creative. So like when you go into the character creator, you're going to get to like customize your character. You're gonna adjust the pitch of uh, of your protagonist's voice, along with like many other like awesome like customization options. So in this like beta test, there were 12 presets available for the guys and then 12 presets for the girls. So there's no body type choice that's going on here. So that's great to see. It's basically you get your 24 presets in total, and then you have a lot of customization options. I really like the hair options too because somehow they made the hair options work for both genders, basically the male and the female. So I very much appreciated that. There is no semblance of non-binary nothing, and that's more than okay too because this is Monster Hunter. It's not one of those games where you're supposed to be like injecting that kind of ideology. Quite frankly, I mean, I think I think like there's a larger conversation to be had there, but let's just say that like the priority is not on trying to like reconcile this with this Western ideal lies view of more than like two genders. That's not really a thing in this culture. So yeah, and I very much respect that. I'm a guy myself, and I too believe that. Um, I believe in the in two genders. So, but that's just my own. That's just my own personal viewpoint. Um, yeah, but anyway, so we're just gonna go ahead and move on to like the gameplay. How did the gameplay was? How was the gameplay? The gameplay was absolutely fantastic. I think that this is a game. The gameplay, it really like hammers home all the like mechanics of like past like Monster Hunter games. So like you get yourself kitted out, and then you set out to hunt down specific like monsters, and whether it's like for like for the glory, or it's to protect people, or you're trying to advance yourself. Basically, you have to like get yourself kitted so that you can appropriately kitted so that you can take on monsters in many different ways. So, what's really cool about this? So to start off with, like you the hunter have the choice of like picking up 14 different get a choice of like 14 different weapons. I myself favor swords, and I can either like I'd like to like get in there and chop up a bunch of monsters real fast, or I just chop them down with like one big old cleave from my great sword. I in the past I have actually used the sword and shield, but I didn't use it for this demo play for any of the two demo playthroughs. I ended up like using the crossbow. I think I did use the light bow. I didn't use. I don't think I used the heavy bow. But and then I also used the hammer. Which I found to be like really useful actually. So worked out really well the second time, and I don't think that I think it I certainly sense the difference between using a sword versus using a large hammer. Slow, but but somehow got the job done a lot faster. Um, so so I was actually more than okay with like how all the weapons worked, but um, I do remember. So like yeah, the other weapons are just as great. I mean, like it just comes down to your play style, and that's something I really respect Capcom for, is just being able to nail down and balance like all these different play styles, so that so that you can play however you wish, and you'll still get the job done. But even if you're like starting off, I mean, eventually like you get to a point where you can actually like activate your SOS flare, and so that becomes a very powerful mechanic where when you fire off the flare, um, you get a flood of monster hunters also like answering the calls. So they can answer the call from base camp, or they'll just like listen in on like like possible calls, and then they'll take the call, and then they'll join in on the quest. So and this mechanic is just something that's like it's so freaking amazing. It's that mechanic is never gets old. It's quite awesome. It basically reinforces that we're not alone in our fights. We actually are working towards a common goal, which is to slay monsters and like just save the day. Basically, it's hopefully you're also getting a little money and all that stuff, but also like getting stronger. Harvesting like defeated monsters, and then using their parts to craft better weapons. So that's something I really did like a lot. So now, so the question is like, how do these hunters like sustain themselves like nutritionally? So what they do is that they eat a lot of food, and then so they basically develop like huge appetites. So that means having to like get food made. So so it's not available in the demo, but in the past, they're they would find chefs that would actually cook for them like large amounts of food. So that's always great. So like, yeah, you can never ever go wrong with a meal in the Monster Hunter world. And it's not, and this is no different. So in the demo, at the very least, you get a tease of like what's to come. So in my playthroughs, I cooked meat, I cooked fish, and I cooked vegetables, all of which looked really really appetizing. So there was beef, there was the fish, and then there was lettuce. So all of which you cook individual items. So like basically they're main courses, and then what you add in there is like you add your spices and then your herbs, and that also like affects like the bonuses you'll have on your next hunt. I like that mechanic very much. I think that mechanic is like a long-standing tradition, and quite frankly, I mean, I think it's a nice departure from how it was done before in Monster Hunter World, and then also even in Monster Hunter Rise, where don't get me wrong, I love Dongo. Dongo is delicious as well, but it's just but I think that was just more simplified because of where the game was being developed for initially, which was on the Nintendo Switch. It's a cute kitty's treat, and I think just works well with the hunters in that world as well. So, but I'm not knocking on Dongo. Dongo is really delicious. I just prefer to have my like my large meats and also the fish. I do love fish as well. So I mean, gotta have your protein. And then like, what's really cool is that like even like vegetarians get to have like their moments, getting to like getting cooked something delicious. That lettuce was actually quite looked delicious. I actually want to like improve on my saute skills with the lettuce. Yeah. So after all that is said and done, okay, so you finish your mission. So then what happens next? Then what you can do is like during the demo, you can actually join other hunters on different hunts. None of which will impact the story, and because it can't, because you won't your progress simply will not transfer. They did say that like the character that you create in the demo in the beta test that will transfer over if you wish, and I think that's actually kind of neat. So the character creator you can easily get lost in. You could I almost got to a point where I would spend like a whole hour just playing around with like custom character with character creator stuff. But then I just like realized, well, I'm never gonna get around to this game. So I finally did. Total playtime I put in for the beta test was like a little over 3 hours, and that was just after me like just improving on my fighting, and then just trying my best to like nail down like the mechanics. I played on both controller and on my keyboard and mouse. Keyboard and mouse, I actually am quite impressed um with um with how well like they handled like keyboard and mouse controls. I freaking loved it. I was actually quite impressed, and I now I can see like why people like it. Now that being said, because I am of the originally of the console era generation, I still play with a controller. So I have a gamepad connected to my PC, but I do find a lot of value in playing with a keyboard. The controls are far more simplified, but like it just comes down to like your feel. So, although I will admit, like like there's been a lot of improvements made with like playing on keyboard. So I don't know if that's was true on Monster Hunter World, like in on PC, but I will say that like at least here with Wilds, it the keyboard controls are actually pretty dang good. So I won't say they're immaculate. I mean, I'll just say they're pretty dang good. Yes. So on the subject of PC, I actually had a lot of performance issues going into this. I think some of that was actually on me for that. So I actually have a pretty decent like graphics card, and like a motherboard as well. And somehow like I decided to just go for ultra graphics with like prioritizing on like on frame rate. And I still had a lot of issues like getting through like my second hunt because like I was fighting a pack. The like there was like considerable slowdown. I was actually starting to get a little bit of a headache on it, unfortunately, but I did get through my like my second hunt, and it was actually a pretty good hunt. There were a lot of things I was just remembering that I could do because it had been years since I picked up Monster Hunter World. Although I think I may actually play World again on PC and then just have a ball with it. But yeah, I mean like beyond that, I think that was basically the only like complaint I had was just the performance issues. Um, and like yeah, maybe it's just, yeah, I think it's just 3 months out. I don't know how much of that is going to get optimized before then, but at worst case, I'll just like try to be more realistic, because especially if I want to capture footage of like my playthroughs, I'm going to probably tone down like the graphics quality and then prioritize like performance because essentially like at the end of the day, I mean it is about good fighting. I just want to be able to like dodge and at the right time, activate my abilities, and try to get in my hits without getting stuttered for whatever reason. So yeah, overall, I think that this was a very, very well done like beta test. So thank you to Capcom for opening the floodgates for us to like pile in there. I think like by the time by the time before was able to get through it, there were already like a little over 450,000 players on Steam at least. I don't know if they ran the beta test on the other consoles, but from what I have played through, I think like a lot of us are really quite excited. I actually did not even have this on my radar because of all the controversies that Capcom was getting itself into with the remakes and such. I think there's just been too many remakes. I understand that it's great to like drum up cash, but try your best to like keep the rest of it intact. I mean, like there were elements in the particularly in Dead Rising and in the Capcom versus SNK games that I very much loved. And yes, I'm also talking about the fan service. Thrive on that stuff. So, you know, don't judge me because I know like you also know what your kinks are. Yeah. So anyway, so basically overall, I just want to say at the very least, like Capcom scored a huge W, putting out the beta, this weekend. I think this is really amazing. I hope that everyone else gets to try out the beta. This is a really, really good beta. It's not rock solid, but the foundation is definitely there, and as is like a lot of the important bits. So yeah. Anyway, cheers to Capcom. I hope that I look forward to picking up the game on February, and I'll likely like find time to revisit the Monster Hunter games on Steam. So yeah, that's it for me. Thanks a lot, everyone. If you liked what you saw here, please do like the video, comment on what you enjoyed and what you didn't enjoy. And if you like to see more content like this, please do consider subscribing to my channel and hitting that notification bell. All right, thanks everyone. Hang loose.